Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear children, it's a great honor to be here. And my task, duty, and honor is to congratulate all the child authors for their wonderful books and let me declare them globally launched. And it is a specific day, the International Day of Literacy, which is the most brilliant day to have this global launch. Uh, Probably you know that Kofi Annan once said that literacy is a bridge from misery to hope. I'm absolutely certain that these books that you have so wonderfully written are also creating bridges between children and adults, between nations and nations, between different generations, in order to achieve the targets, to realize the wonderful dreams that you were dreaming of in these wonderful books. Someone once said that books are lighthouses erected in the great sea of time. I think there are very important events before us, and other events are still waiting for us. As you probably know, 2019 was the 30th anniversary of the Convention on the Rights of the Child, the most widely ratified human rights treaty in existence, which guarantees every child the right to a healthy, safe, and sustainable future, as well as the right to be heard on issues and decisions that will affect the future. They have the right to express their will, their hope, their dream, guaranteed by the Convention on the Rights of the Child. And one of the wonderful ways to express their dreams, their requests, their inspirations and aspirations as regards the future are writing books and dreaming dreams so that these could be realized. We know very well that the children's rights are as important as every other fundamental right, and they need to be protected. And the rights of the children do not mean abstract legal regulations. They drew up the needs of the children necessary to their healthy physical and social development. At the same time, we know that 2020 marks 10 years until the Sustainable Development Goals are set to be reached. We know very well that the realization of child rights and of the SDGs are inextricably linked and mutually reinforcing. Children are affected by all of the SDGs, whether poverty, hunger, health, education, clean water, gender equality, or climate change. The CRC puts forth all the rights that governments must respect, protect, and fulfill for children under their jurisdiction, while the SDG is universal, time-bound call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, to ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity by 2030. We know very well that the road to 2030 has been interrupted by the COVID-19 crisis. And the COVID-19 crisis is having a devastating effect on children with potentially far-reaching and long-term negative impacts. Stresses on families, particularly those living under quarantines, lockdowns, and other restrictions of freedom of movement, may increase the violence in home and may make the life of children even more difficult. According to the UNESCO, more than 1.5 billion students in 188 countries were out of school due to the COVID-19 crisis on April 8, 2021, representing 91% of the world's student population. We know that countries were not equally good in coping with all the challenges that the COVID-19 crisis meant, and the COVID-19 crisis has contributed to extreme poverty, and we have over 385 million children who live in extreme poverty. But now this is not the time when we should speak about only sad things. We have to know that the 2030 agenda is our roadmap for the world we want. The global goals are our best hope for people, for planet, for prosperity, for peace, for partnership. And these wonderful child authors have understood it very well and were reflecting it in their wonderful books very nicely. These books touch very important subjects: climate change, life on land and below water, responsible consumption and protection, clean energy, sustainable cities and communities, quality education, peace and justice, and inequality. Very wise book written by wise children. Child books are not for children only. They are also equally for adults to learn from it. I can agree with Napoleon, who once said, "Show me the family of readers, and I will show you the people who move the world." Dear young authors, thank you for the brilliant and inspirational stories and for your extraordinary work. You all make this world a better place. And let me also use one quotation from David Attenborough, who once said, "What humans do over the next 50 years, that will determine the fate of all life on the planet." And saying that, now let's introduce these wonderful books and these authors. First of all, let me start with the first book, The Sound of Silence by Ying-Xuan Lai. Ying-Xuan Lai's The Sound of Silence is about a sister and brother duo who seek to advocate the SDGs on climate change, Goal 13, and life on land, Goal 15, by listening to the sounds of nature, in an effort to track down an endangered species that has been driven into the mountains by destructive human activity. Lucia and Lucius go on a great adventure and learn about the importance of listening to the needs of nature instead of thinking only of human desires. The wonderful illustrations made by Kasia Niezewiecka, who is bringing this terrific story to life. The second book I would like to introduce is The White Dolphin by Zhuo Meng-Xin. Zhuo Meng-Xin from Taiwan wrote The White Dolphin to bring awareness to SDG 13, climate change, and 14, life below water. Her book brings attention to the dangers that human pollution has caused to marine life, including the endangered white dolphin. In her story, a young dolphin becomes separated from his family after encountering a dangerous fishing net. The protagonist, a young girl named Xingming, comes to his rescue and teaches us all about the importance of protecting marine species. Lin Wen-Chu created the illustrations for the white dolphin. The following book is The Small Sparrow Hero by Huang Yun-Hung. He wrote on climate change 13 and responsible consumption and production, Goal 12. The Asian child author Huang Yun-Hung book was illustrated by Celia Tan. The book, The Small Sparrow Hero, focuses on SDG 13, climate change, and 12, responsible consumption and production. Yun-Hung tells the story of a small boy, Xiaoyu, who fights to protect the habitat of his small sparrow friend and other bird species. When a human project threatens to flatten the hill that the birds call their home, Xiaoyu gathers together a group of students who inform their community of the consequences of human development and the importance of biodiversity. Thanks to his hard work and dedication, Xiaoyu helps his community earn the title of most ecological town. The following book is Journey for Tomorrow by Andrea Wilson. She is from North America. Journey for tomorrow by Andrea Wilson tells the story of a girl named Sarah who cares deeply about the earth and wants to clean the world of garbage and pollution. To save our earth and her animal friends, Sarah intervenes a machine to turn garbage into energy. She then uses this machine all over the world to clean up the environment, save habitats, and help animals. Andrea intends for her book to educate people about the issues our planet faces and motivate them to make a difference, just as Sarah did. Vicky Zhang created the beautiful illustrations for this book. The next book is The Children Who Saved the Mangroves. The Children Who Saved the Mangroves is an exciting story written by Rehema Kibugi from Africa, where the protagonist, Kamau, learns about the importance of mangroves. He also learns that they are threatened by logging and that their loss would have many negative impacts on local populations and species that depend on mangrove habitats. The author, Rehema Kibugi, highlights the ability of children to protect the environment as Kamau participates in a mangrove watch to stop illegal logging and becomes an advocate for mangrove protection at the UNEA. As one of the Voices of Future Generations authors from Africa, Rehema highlights SDG 13, climate change, and 15, life on land. The Children Who Saved the Mangroves is beautifully illustrated by Justin Greenfield. The next book is Stanley and EPIC by Jasper Chin Moody. Jasper Chin Moody is our latest author from Oceania. His book, Stanley and EPIC, tackles SDG 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities, and SDG 12, Consumption and Production. With the help of his artificially intelligent eco house EPIC, Stanley learns how to be confident in himself and stand up to the bullies, all while turning his boring town into a green and sustainable paradise. Illustrated by Celia Tan, Stanley and EPIC is an excellent story about the power we already hold to make positive change in the world. Dreamcatcher by Tien-Li Cheng. Dreamcatcher is a hopeful and educational story about a girl named Etienne. She loves the birds, bugs, and bats in the world around her and works with them to figure out the reason why they are disappearing and how to bring them back. The author, Tien-Li Cheng, touches on many topics related to SDG 12, responsible consumption and production, SDG 13, climate change, and SDG 15, life on land. She shows how wildlife is affected by many human actions and how individual and community actions can help protect the environment. She is one of our authors based in Asia. Dreamcatcher is illustrated by Diane Green. Finding the Language by Adeline Nyman-Ting. Adeline Nyman-Ting is World Future Generation's first global indigenous child author. Her book, Finding the Language, highlights SDG 4, quality education, and 15, life on land. In her story, brilliantly illustrated by Justin Greenfield, the protagonist Kesu undertakes an inspirational and exciting clue-filled adventure with the help of her friends, both human and animal, and elders, to relearn her language and its connection to the land. The Girl Who Changed Everything by Freya Tikva is our following book. Freya Tikva is from Europe. Her story, The Girl Who Changed Everything, invites readers to reflect on the impact of school bullying and to imagine a more earth-friendly world without plastic in pursuit of SDGs 11. Sustainable Cities and Communities, and SDG 12, Responsible Consumption and Production. When Zina, a new girl from a faraway country, arrives at Emma's school, Emma and her friends learn about the importance of learning from people with diverse backgrounds and experiences. Zina inspires Emma and her friends to start a plastic-free campaign at school with astonishing success. Freya's first book is illustrated by Li Wen-Chu. The next book is The Challenge of the Generation by Cristina Angela Kassongo from Africa. Cristina Angela Kassongo's first book is about children who are passionate about advocating SDG 4, quality education 11, sustainable communities and 16, peace and justice by making environmental education accessible to all children. Hailing from the Democratic Republic of Congo, where the book takes place, Kassongo writes about a group of brave children who stand up to adults and demand that school children learn about the dangers of pollution and the benefits of recycling and managing waste sustainability. The Challenge of a Generation is wonderfully illustrated by Henry Ezeokele. And the final book is Saud and Chess by Saud Ahmad Al-Kabi. Saud Ahmad Al-Kabi tackles SDG Goals 10, inequality, and 16, peace and justice in his forthcoming book, Saul and Chess. He is an author from the Middle East. The story shows the importance of fighting discrimination and spreading peace and acceptance. Saud learns chess, makes friends, and learns to speak up against bullies and teach them that everyone is equal of respect and inclusion regardless of their color or their skin. Dear children, let me take the floor again to congratulate to you for this wonderful, wonderful achievement. Please help to educate the world and move towards to a more peaceful, more prosperous, more green world for the following century. Thank you.